everyone, it's Marianne from the New York City Organization of Public Service Retirees. Seems many of you got triggered this morning. Good, because this is what explains to us, the retirees. We are the elderly, disabled, 9/11 responders and survivors, widows and widowers of line of duty deaths and our disabled children. This is who the retirees are. And several of your nasty comments are like, well, you're rich enough, you dumb boomers. You should just be paying for your health care. Really? Because most of our retirees that are District Council 37, which is about a third of the workforce, most of them make under $35,000. 2/3 make under $35,000 pensions, and 1/3 of them make under $12,000 pensions. And you're just a little entitled something. You don't understand what this means to people. And it also tells us that as a young person, you don't understand what Medicare is. You don't understand that as a promise that you could work for an employer for 20, 30, 40 years, and you were promised that you would have Medicare, a federal public health benefit, as your health care paid for by the city if you worked for the city for decades and took lower wages. So then you also today were trying to justify how Zohran was going to be protecting retirees. Well, no. Let's go back to his statement, and I'm going to repeat this. Reading is fundamental. Reading comprehension, guys. Go back to school. His statement says, as mayor, Zohran will reject Medicare Advantage and reject higher copays for in-service workers. Guys, we're not in-service workers. We're retirees. We don't work. We're retired. Remember, our oldest retiree is 102. This was the only thing they had other than their pension to protect their life. Then it says, instead, he'll partner with workers and their unions to take on the fragmented for-profit healthcare system and lower healthcare costs for everyone. Guys, we're not workers and we don't have unions. And yet you want to defend this guy as saying he's going to protect Medicare. No, he will protect in-service workers. He says nothing in these two sentences in this issue. So we said that this statement does not say he will protect current retirees from Medicare disadvantage or higher copays. He's literally saying in two sentences, he will protect in-service workers. Those are active young employees. I am not a worker. I am not an employee. I am a retired person. This statement says he will reject MA and higher copays for in-service workers. Retirees are not in service, and we don't have unions because we're retired. And unions can only collectively bargain for wages, hours, and work conditions for those in their union. We're not in unions, and we're retired, and we don't work. So here's our website. Our website is Retired Labor Strong, and we said 3 things. We asked candidates seeking our endorsement if they agreed to support fixing the 3 biggest issues a retiree has today. 1, not being forced into Medicare Advantage, preserving our promise paid for supplement to traditional Medicare, and not permitting backdoor premiums onto us in the forms of copays and deductibles. 2, Medicare B reimbursement isn't refunded as required by law until 16 to 22 months later. That means we're shelling out of our small little pensions premium for healthcare that's supposed to be reimbursed, but we're not getting that reimbursement for 16 to 22 months. We want that back in the quarter in which we paid for it. And 3, our family healthcare dies the day we do. There needs to be a 30, 60, or 90-day grace period for loved ones to get their affairs in order and the city to advise them of their alternatives, and agree to continue open communication with retirees. Now, he had the opportunity to come to our debate in which we had several candidates. I think we had 7 altogether for a 2-hour debate at the Graduate Center. He chose not to show up, and then he chose not to do the pledge. But I do want to show you who did the pledge, because that is really important. So if you scroll down, here are all the candidates. Jim Walden as an independent, Scott Stringer as a Democrat, Brad Lander as a Democrat, Curtis Sliwa as a Republican, Whitney Tilson as a Democrat, Michael Blake as a Democrat, Andrew Cuomo as a Democrat. These are your mayoral candidates that said, I will protect you with these 3 issues. And if I don't, hold me accountable. That's what this is about. It's about holding a candidate accountable for what they said. And why? Because Mayor Adams said, hey, Bill de Blasio, you're horrible. This is a bait and switch. You can't steal their health care away. Medicare is a federal public health benefit. Why would we take elderly and disabled people's health care away? And for all you young people on YouTube and Twitter who are making these nasty comments to us and calling us boomers and that we should just give it up, well, no. We earned this, because you know what's going to happen? One day, you're going to complain that someone took something away from you that you earned and paid for. And you're going to get upset. And what do you want us to go? You didn't help us when we told you this was happening to us. Why should we be there for you? But this is a federal public health benefit. You literally pay for this in your paycheck. Look at every one of your paychecks. For those of you that are working, look in your pay stubs. Every pay stub says Medicare tax. That tax pays for your Medicare that you have when you're eligible. That's why it's important. We paid for it. And today, when we're elderly and disabled, or line of duty widows that lost their spouses in the line of duty, or our disabled children, or 9/11 responders and survivors that are struggling with their health care because of their work during 9/11, this is what keeps them alive. You want to take that? Just to defend a candidate who wouldn't sit with us and talk with us about this issue and explain why, going back and forth with his campaign people, that he should be on board with this? You can't say that he supports the New York Health Act, Marianne. Well, if he supports something that doesn't exist yet and hasn't passed in 30 years, maybe he would want to protect the one federal public health benefit that was one of the greatest civil rights achievements ever, that did away with segregated waiting rooms and discrimination in healthcare. Remember, 1965 is when Medicare and Medicaid passed. It told doctors and hospitals, you can't discriminate against people's color or income. You have to treat everyone and give them all equal access to healthcare. That's why this is amazing. And it's insane that you guys don't understand its value. We earned it. We paid for it. It's ours. And if Zohran wants to be mayor, he better respect the fact that we earned and paid for this. We sued the city now 3 times across the last 4 years over 3 different cases. We've won 11 times across 3 different cases with 3 unanimous appeals decisions. Don't you think Zohran should have our back? I think he should. There's a state bill that he should be on that would protect every municipal worker. And if you're a young municipal working for the city of New York, you should want that too. Because it would be tantamount to, all of a sudden, you've been working for the city in your job for decades. You retire and what you were promised is no longer there. The only thing that's protected these days is your pension under the Constitution. And if someone decides to open that, guess what? That could go away too, which is why we always fight that. So now you have a little history lesson and you understand why it's really important. I hope you respect the fact that we earned and paid for our health care. And if this gentleman would like to be the mayor, then he better respect us and what we paid for and this federal public health benefit. You can't go screaming that Donald Trump is going to start cutting Medicare and Medicaid when it's happening right in the city of New York. And I'm telling you as a New York City retiree that there is a true risk to this right here, right now. And if this candidate wants to scream that he will protect every retiree or municipal worker against what Donald Trump is doing out of Washington, D.C., like he's been yelling all week, well, hey guys, Medicare Advantage is the default plan in Project 2025. So if he doesn't want to see us jammed into the default plan of Project 2025, he's going to have our back now, isn't he? Retirees make the largest voting bloc in the state of New York. Our state bill was to protect every municipal retiree. And if you guys are lucky enough to get a job and stay in it for 20, 30, or 40 years, you will have this benefit too. Unless you allow some candidate to steal it from you and you do nothing about it. Have a great night, guys.
Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fate. The decision isn't yours to make.